Hello YouTube, it's Daquita Carver. Thank you for watching this video. Today I'm going to be talking to you today about my targeting experience. I think I spoke about this last time, that I would give some more detailed information. I think I went along the lines of my targeting being very specific and very unique. It's sophisticated in nature. I don't think anybody is experiencing the level of attacks that I'm experiencing. I haven't heard anyone speak of it, at least I should say. So I'm going to be sharing some information. I'm going to bring you into my world in terms of what that looks like in terms of my targeting experience. I have read some of the comments on the recent videos I did. I did 3 recent videos, so if you haven't looked at those, please check those out. And I saw some comments in reference to one was speaking about idolatry, and I just want to share something with you because when you're in a state of isolation, this is to get off topic a little bit. I'm going to give you my targeting background in a moment, but I just want to give you some information in terms of idolatry. Right now, we know that Israel is under a curse. They're under a generational curse. Generations, down to the bloodlines of Adam and Eve and so forth. We're facing generational curses. We're coming out of that bondage gradually. But what happened is, as a result, Israel engaged in idolatry. However, in my experiences, when we speak of idolatry, we're talking about anything that is glorified, that is taking a place in God, of God. We know that God says that we're supposed to worship Him. We're supposed to love Him with our heart, mind, and soul. However, we know that we live in a world that engages in idolatry. They engage in idolatry of some sort. It's our nature. Okay, we were born in sin. This is the condition of the flesh. That's why we're so grateful that we have a Savior who died for our sins. This is the whole purpose of that, is to recognize that we had someone that actually died and gave himself as a offering to wash away our transgressions. So this is where you humble yourself and get excited about that blessing that you didn't have any part to play in. All you do is receive it. All you do is say thank you for giving us a Savior. Thank you for giving us a sacrificial lamb who died in our place, because we do have a problem with sin. We came out of the womb sinning. Okay, that's our nature, the flesh. That's the nature of the flesh. However, we don't always recognize that, and as I've been in isolation, it was a time frame, and I'm still in isolation. That's part, we'll talk about that momentarily, but as I was in isolation, it allowed me to really get intimate with myself, in terms of everything was removed from me, and I had a chance to really get intimate with myself and see what it is that I possess as far as spiritual gifts, as far as my thoughts, my strengths, and my weaknesses. So I had a very long length of time, even up to now. I'm still in isolation. You can look at me as still being in isolation. But I really had a time for deep reflection, to be able to look at myself inwardly and see what is it look at my thoughts and my strengths and so forth, and really get an understanding as to who I am and what I am. And I'm still struggle with that. I think we all still struggle with that as targeted individuals, because we're hit with so much. There's such an attack on our being that it's caused to break us down, and we can't usually see it, because we're combating all of these things that are coming against us, and we lose sight of that. So it's very easy to, when you get in that isolation, to look at things from a perspective of out of gratefulness. You know what I mean? Like when you say, when we say idolatry, you can say, oh, well, I love man. I love the being of man, meaning that I love the way that God created the body. God created a body. I love the physique of man. But we're not giving glory to the man, so to speak. We're giving glory to the Creator. We're giving the glory to the Creator who created the man. So when you say worship an idol, it's not necessarily like we can say, like, for like certain ministries. Like if a ministry performs a word for you, if God, thank you for blessing this minister, for they were speaking, I know that was you speaking through them to me. So I thank you so much for putting them in a place of leadership, putting them in a place where I was able to draw something out of them, where they were able to speak with me and connect with me on a spiritual level. So when we talk about Lauryn Hill, I don't look at her as an idol. I look at her as a gift. God has given her as a gift, and I appreciate her gifts. I acknowledge her gifts, and I appreciate the creator for allowing her to have that gift. Why? Because it has resonated with me. She was a gift to come into my life through her music. You can hear it in her music. She's straight from God. You can hear it in her music. And this is I'm not necessarily worshiping her. I'm just worshiping the fact of the beauty of her that comes from the creator. So you have to make sure that you use your words very carefully. And this is where I talk about where you really need to get intimate with yourself and understand the choice of your words. And don't try to ever figure anybody else out or try to label them as an idolater when you don't really know the whole meaning of what they're trying to convey. Because I'm not going to tell you everything, you know, in terms of, my thoughts on the whole thing. I may just talk about a certain topic and leave it like that, but don't try to turn it into something or take it in another direction when it's not intended for it to go in that direction. And when I say that that you're doing the will of Lauryn Hill, not necessarily that you're doing the will, but you do the will of your employer. You do the will of your mothers, your parents who have authority over you. They're in the authoritative power. They're in a place of authority. So there are some things that you do that are in their will, but we know that God's will trumps all. Okay, so there's the Most High God, and His will is going to come over everything. So that's why we know that we do the will of God. But you also do the will of your parents. Okay, when they tell you to clean up your room, and when they tell you to do things around the house, let's keep it real here because we do. All right, you're doing their will. So this is what allows them to keep you in check and keep you in balance because they have that authority. They have that authority over you. Okay, so don't twist the words. You have to see the vision behind everything. Everything is a lesson learned. So as you become, like I said, more intimate with yourself in terms of being in that place of isolation, you get to understand some of these things that I'm speaking of, because you look at life differently. You can go outside and say, wow, the sky looks really nice. You get into astrology and astronomy and all of that things. Because why? Because it's a beautiful sight. You're giving glory to the creator. Again, it's the creator who created the stars and all of these things. And you never recognize it because you were so busy with your things. But when you're placed in isolation, you're forced to look at these things. You're forced to look at the beauty that is around you because that's what life is all about. It's about experiencing and taking in and enjoying what you see. Because usually when we're engaged in other things, we can't see the beauty and we can't give glory to God for creating it. Okay, so when you're in, when you listen to songs, depending on what songs you listen to. And sometimes I do listen to low vibrational songs, you can say, in my place of when I'm angry and so forth. And we're going to talk about that because people don't think I get angry, but we're going to talk about that. So this is, these are some of the things that we do, that we have to give glory to. It's not so much idolatry, but it's just noticing the person that gave it, okay? Just always connecting it to. It's always connected to something. Whenever you see something and you like it, a nice car, whatever the case, or a nice house. Wow, God, it's such a blessing to be in a nice house. You really blessed me. You blessed my career for me to be able to buy this nice house, and you're living in a godly way and you're giving back to God because you're acknowledging that you didn't get that house off your own, from yourself, but you got it from Him, through Him. Everything comes through Him. So this is how you get it, and you have to just acknowledge that and really appreciate that and take away, and it's just like with food, people who like food. I say, God, thank you for blessing me. There's people that are hungry. There's people that are starving, and here it is, we have this nice meal in front of us. And, I had to talk to my kids about that because I'm just like, there's people that have to eat the same. They talk about leftovers. And I said, there's people that have to eat the same thing every single day. People who don't eat at all, they have to eat once a day and it's the same thing every day. So I said, you have to be grateful for what you have and be grateful because if it wasn't, for, right now I'm not in the condition because what you're targeting, and we're gonna talk about that. We come into roadblocks and things and people who sort of move you away from society. It's like you've died to society. It's like you become invisible, where you can't get employment, or it's like am I on the blacklist or somewhere or whatever. So you just get into all of these things. We're gonna talk about that momentarily. But I just wanted to address some of the comments that were on my page. So, but a lot of times people who don't really understand you, and I don't know at what point they came on during this ministry, but there's so many different things I talk about. And I appreciate feedback. I appreciate the feedback. Long if it's done respectfully. Other comments that are rude and abrasive, I don't even give any recognition or any acknowledgement. And you give me, and there's sometimes I may pose a question on here, like I will today if I remember to do that, because there's some questions I have sometimes. And sometimes you leave comments in here, and it basically addresses something that I need, that something that I may need or something that I didn't know. So maybe you have taught me something through your comment. So it goes back to where I say it works both ways. So I want to give you some background in terms of my targeting. So my targeting, to my knowledge, okay, to the point in time, and before we get started, let me just go into a prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Father God, I ask that you guide me and give me wisdom and knowledge as I convey my experiences, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity, Lord, that I am here as a witness. This is also going to be inclusive of a testimony to the things that you brought me out of, to the things that you showed me, to the things that you done in my life behind the scenes. So this glorifies you, but I thank you for bringing those people to this channel to be able to learn and to be able to hear what has worked for me as far as my experience goes. And Father, we just ask you just to give us insight and give us knowledge and revelation as to how to deal with this effectively, patiently, steadfastly, because although you work through me and you give me revelation, I don't have all of the answers. I don't have all of the answers. I don't know all of the answers. I don't pretend to know all of the answers, but I try to pull from my experiences to be able to share it to those who are experiencing the same challenges. We have similarities, and so get through to those people who are struggling in this very abrasive non-consensual program. So we thank you for all your insight. We thank you for your knowledge and your wisdom. In the mighty name of Yeshua, we say amen. Okay, so, some people, not just in the last few videos that I just made, but some people historically they always think or seem to think that I'm real pleasant. And I'm going to tell you that's not always the case. However, I am pleasant when I go out in the world because I have to. We wear a mask. We know that. We wear a mask when we go out into the world. Some of us do. Some of us are good at wearing masks, okay? And I'm one of those people that is very good at turning on and turning off. I can turn on and I can turn off. And it's like one of those things where I guess, so that just shows you that you do have some control when you need to. You do have some level of control when you need to. And sometimes when I'm at home, I don't care I'm going off, but I'm arguing with myself. It's like, it goes back to that song I said about Lauryn Hill. She has a song called I Gotta Find Peace of Mind. And it really resonates with me. That's me. When I hear that song, that is me. It's like, Lauryn Hill, how did you know me? Do you know me, Lauryn Hill? It's just like one of those moments. And so I really, that's my experience. I get out in her song, I Gotta Find Peace of Mind, because we know that the battle begins in the mind. So with that being said, my targeting began, in retrospect, I know that it happened right when I came out of the womb. I was a premature baby, fighting for my life when I came out. A lot of, I can tell you about the hospital I was born in. Everything is very revelatory, and it has significance. Nothing is a coincidence in this world, okay? But I didn't know that I was targeted. I wasn't awake to it or conscious to it until 2012. But in 2011, this is going to somewhat tie into a testimony as well as my experiences. But in 2011, I remember I got pregnant. I had like consecutive miscarriages with my ex-husband. And I remember a long time ago, like one girl who told me, her name was Grace, and she told me, she said, well, maybe you're just not compatible. Maybe you're having all of these miscarriages because you're just not compatible. And I never thought about that because, on their conditions or whatever. And so, I'm sorry, my computer froze up for a second. And they finally let me leave on their conditions. And when I left, I had to go, had some appointments, and I didn't ask any of them to come with me because they were just drama. It was just drama with them. And I just wanted to separate myself from them, both of them. And I decided I'm going to have to just do this by myself. And I just remember that place where I was just in so much pain down my leg. My leg was paralyzed. And I remember shuffling, like literally shuffling. I had to park far away because I couldn't find any parking spots. And I had to like almost shuffle. I got this big belly. I don't know if it was hot outside. I think it was still hot at that time. But I'm shuffling there, and I'm just like, I can't even call for anybody that was close enough to get a wheelchair. But it was just like that point where I was just like, I didn't want to be bothered. I'd just rather do this by myself. And before that, I remember being so dizzy when I was pregnant. Before I went up, led up to go into the hospital, I would get real dizzy, and I would break out in a hot sweat. It was like I was dying. It was like something was happening spiritually. I didn't know what, but in retrospect, and I look back at that situation, I was like, I'm dying. I feel like death, and something else coming back up. I don't know what it was, but it was a very weird feeling. And I think this was all witchcraft that was happening to me at that time. But it was just like I would get dizzy, and I couldn't. And sometimes it got to the point where I would notice the symptoms right before, and I would know that it's about to happen, and I would go and pace myself or try to get cool because I would get extremely hot and get dizzy and just black out for like a few seconds, and we're literally I would see black and just be diaphoretic. And what happened, I was at the hairdresser one day. I was so embarrassed. I had to go in my car, and I'm trying to like not go out there, and I got their rollers and stuff, so they following me out to the car because I didn't want to make a scene in the place. It happened to me before when I was going to do some therapy on I don't know what kind of therapy, some holistic therapy I was going to go do, and it happened. I had to come outside, and they fall, and because they could see the flushiness of me, and they follow me, and they had to bring the big ambulance out. The ambulance people came and everything, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on? So I just, it was just one of those things where you try to like move away because you don't want to cause a scene or whatever. But yeah, so that was happening to me. So I delivered the babies. So in 2012, I was working, and I just noticed, I started to like notice stuff. I don't know why. It's just like, just notice things. I became awake to targeting. But initially I thought it was because of workers' comp, because I was on workers' comp. So I was like, oh, they just surveillancing me because of my workers' comp. But I don't care. They can watch. I got injured at work, my back, right after having the babies, maybe 4 months after. So I'm like, they just watching me because of my back. So it was perfect timing for them to target me because I thought it was as a result of the workers' comp. I thought I was just getting surveillance for that. But then I started to know that it was more like it wasn't really. It was a different type of surveillance. I can't put my hand on it, but it was very. And I was accusing the adjusters and the insurance company, and they were like, we don't handle all of that. We don't get involved in all of that stuff unless there's a really thing. But it seemed like they were trying to find something to incriminate me, like to. And I sensed that because stuff was happening with the preparation of my taxes, where me and my ex-husband, he was putting things, itemizing things that were not true, signatures that I didn't sign, and so forth. All of these different and crazy things that were happening at the time, things that were happening with another house we were trying to purchase, just all of these different events that were just led to like, what the hell is like, one of those moments like, what the hell is going on here? Some things aren't mixing. People being very covertly suspicious. It's, how you wake up when you awaken. You can't really pinpoint what's going on, but something ain't right. You just know that something ain't right. So, and then my computer started acting funny. Things popping up on the computer, my cell phone. At that time, I had my emails coming to my cell phone, my BlackBerry at that time, and where it was, or I had the iPhone at that time, I think. But it wasn't. The emails weren't syncing, and something was happening. I couldn't send out emails. It got hacked. All of these hacking started happening. And it's just the inclination. I'm like, what is the insurance company doing? What's going on here? I just never seen any level of surveillance. And people started asking me questions that I was thinking about. Like they had access to my thoughts. And they would be talking. You would hear side conversations talking about things that I had just spoken about 3 days before. And you're like, what what's happening? Like this is like some deja vu or something. And then I had people asking me, do I believe in God? And all this kind of weird stuff. Because as I started to understand more, my emails being hacked, and at that time I was looking for employment, and I felt like I was being blacklisted because I'm a registered nurse, and my resume is impeccable. I have all these years of experience, and there's never been any problem with me getting employment. So now I have a problem getting a job. And so as I'm following through with lawsuits and so forth, I noticed that it's becoming very difficult for me to get a job, which is unusual for me. And so now I'm like, it got to the point where I have to, at that time I believed that it was because of workers' comp, so I had to now take the employer to court because I'm believing that they're doing some sort of blacklisting for me for future employment. So it came to a point where I took them in a lawsuit and so forth, and I had all of these claims and all of these claims because as things continued to move forward, I didn't realize this was a spiritual thing. I had no idea that this was all spiritual. I had a lot of leads in the beginning. I had a lot of leads that I didn't follow through on because I didn't know that this was spiritual. Um, and when I say that, I would pull my credit report, and I had all these different things on my credit report that I didn't. I'm like, how did this stuff get on my credit report? I had no inquiries and all these things from homes, like a person that's buying a home or something. All of these different things on my credit report, and people mentioning my ex-husband's name when you look into it, and all these things. And I would go and visit these places that were on the credit report. They didn't exist. It's like some of these things that were on my credit report, you got their addresses, they didn't exist. The mortgage for my home that I owned, I went there to the building to go to. It was a building that had several different things. It was a bank that was supposed to be in that building. They said that they never even had a bank. One business had been there for years. They said that there was never been a bank there. And I showed them the address. I said, this is, he's like, no, there's no bank that have ever been here. So something was like, what the heck is going on? Like, this was all like, it was like weird and crazy. So I was just like, I don't know what the heck is going on. And then as time began to go on, I said, no, I said, I was being explained this. And I said, the attacks, the people following you, they're copying off of you. They're shopping behind you. Whatever you look at, they look at. They take off whatever you take off. Things like that. They're wearing what you wear. Everywhere you go, that's a nice dress you got on. That's a nice dress on. Everywhere you go, in another state. I'm in another state now. That's a nice dress you got on. So, and I noticed that when I travel, it happens everywhere I go. So let's take, for example, I was going to Buffalo, New York. We went to, at one point, we were going back and forth for like 3 different times during the summer. We had some problems up there with some family. And we would drive. And even at the truck stop, when we get out to go stop or go to the bathroom or go get something to eat, the targeting happened there. It happened there as well. The cars, for some reason I had an inclination of what those cars were. The cars, they always had those cars. I spoke about these cars before. I called them, I think, the Chargers, but they were really the Challengers, or one of the two. Those old Dukes of Hazzard cars. But I said, I just had an inclination, like I knew those cars. I know this stuff. I know what's happening on, but I couldn't really pinpoint it. I didn't have memory of it really. And so it happened. So I know that this wasn't just in one location. This was happening everywhere I went. So with that being said, I didn't understand what was happening to me. So I said, and then it started to get creepy. People popping up that you would be talking about, then they pop up, like stuff like that, or people giving you some lying thing that sounds crazy as I don't know what, like one of my family members saying that Tyler Perry hired, or I should say, my family member telling me that another family member got hired by Tyler Perry as a nanny. Things like that, just crazy stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, really? So just lies and things like that. And I remember meeting one girl. She's telling me, and I'm going to Jamaica. I was like, oh, me too. I'm planning a trip to Jamaica. She was like, she's planning a trip to Jamaica. She's a nurse. She had everything that I was. She was doing the same thing, almost like a copycatter. And I'm just like, oh. So I'm like, oh yeah. So so it began to be like, wow, what the heck is happening? So I remember calling my grandmother one day and explaining it to her. She told me. I said, this thing's really demonic. And it's like I had all of this knowledge, all of this revelation. Not to mention, I want to tell you also, I was getting citations for things that I didn't do. I was getting citations for trash, emptying out trash, leaving trash on where it wasn't supposed to be. And come to find out, my ex-husband did it. And I told him he needs to go to court and show that he did it. It wasn't me. Things like that. And he refused to go. So things like that. It was like I was getting blamed for it. That's exactly what it was. I was getting blamed for stuff that I didn't do. And I had to defend myself for things that I didn't do. So then it was another thing with, and I had to pay a fine for that. I got accused of, oh, I had to fill out some internet surveillance thing, hacking the computer or whatever with the police, and they totally changed everything I told them to make me like some paranoid, schizophrenic, and they're gonna say that my complaint is very bizarre. When I gave them specific details in terms of what was happening, they made it into another story. They made it into some story like some nutcase or whatever. And so then I started to be a little bit more creative and started recording my things that I say when I go to these people. I have a recorder. I keep journals on here, and I kept like things where I went into any type of organization or anything I had to explain, so they don't fabricate the details because they had the tendency of changing your words. So it got to the point where I had to like record things and calls and so forth, so it won't ever be any problem about, well, she said this, and I have it on record so that we know exactly what was said. And so, people started lying on you, blaming you for things. And then you notice that people didn't want to be around you. So I called my grandma. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I said, I don't know what this is, but it's very, and I would go into fits, like just like crying fits and depression and people were trying to tell you that you're bipolar. You hear conversations, oh, they're bipolar and all this stuff. But we know that this is induced. They induce these things on us. They induce us to go bipolar. They create an atmosphere for you to go bipolar or to be schizophrenic because they induce these type of things and they call it mental illness when we know that that's not the case. But I went to I didn't know what this was, and I said it's very demonic. I feel like it's something very demonic in nature, and she told me what it was. She told me it seems like God is trying to call you. He's trying to use you, and you're going through spiritual warfare. And I said, oh, and I didn't know what that, I didn't know what spiritual warfare is. I had no idea. So I had looked it up, and I got a book, and when I got that book, everything, everything that I've been going through was in that book. And I said, wow, this is exactly what it is. This is exactly what it is. And I had all of these things that were given to me in the beginning. And I didn't know I didn't know it was spiritual. I was going after people. And this had nothing to do with people. This was something that was happening on a spiritual level. And I had no idea. And I just remember when I was in my lawsuit with the employer that I sued, and I went pro se. And this was a long case. And I had to prepare all my documents, everything. And I prepared them very well. I learned, and things were given to me, like thoughts and everything were given to me on what to say, depositions, all of this stuff was done. And I can remember the lawyers asking me, they had asked me, like, who is helping you? And they were dead serious, like, who's helping you with this information? And that was a good question at the time because I had no idea that I was being helped by God. It was God. It was like I was getting all this knowledge, all of this insight. I knew all of these things, all of these legal things, how to build my case, how to do it. And I would have won a case if it was actually, because they tried to stay away from me. They really tried, like the judge didn't even you can tell like when the judge is like even impressed. Like it was one of those things where like nobody wanted to come around. Like they were like trying to be distant from me. Like nobody wanted to be seen anymore. Everybody was trying to be behind the scenes. But it's one of those things where, and I didn't win the case, but I think it's just because it wasn't the truth. That wasn't the issue. It's something spiritual. But we know that the courts are in heaven, that the courts in heaven, the witnesses and so forth. But this is something that he's preparing me for, perhaps. I basically went into this by myself, on my own, unafraid, and on my own. So when I found out that this was spiritual warfare, God began to, I can feel like something in me. Fear was gone. And that was just displayed through the case. Because I knew that this was something happening, something that I'm like, what the heck? This seemed like some mob stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, what is going on? I feel like I'm in a doggone some movie, or some movie. It's bizarre. You see all of the street theater and all this stuff. So with that being said, I realized that this was spiritual. The attacks that I'm receiving have basically intensified, and they're demonic attacks. It literally feels like things are breathing on you, chemicals being sprayed in your face. Feels like it's you can feel the atmosphere. You can feel it's an atmosphere thing. It's an astral body thing. It's an attack on the spiritual component of your body. It's as if something is happening on the spiritual plane that is coming against you, and it's breaking you down. It's breaking down the defenses. It's like Mary Magdalene. I don't know if you know the story of Mary Magdalene. It's her attacks, demonic attacks when she was possessed. It's demonic attacks. These are demonic attacks that come against me. It almost feels like demons are around you. It definitely, that's my attack. That's what I'm going through. Things that are breathing on you and then gets you riled up and gets you angry. Things that are it used to be very sexual. I know there was one girl on here. At that time, I had no knowledge of this. And you'll hear of a few targeted individuals that speak about this. Jami Ali. Jami Ali, her targeting is very unique. Her targeting, it had something to do with modification of her body parts and so forth. And I thought to myself, when I heard her story, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought, yeah, right. But everybody's targeting, that's what I'm saying, everybody's targeting is different. I don't talk about mine because mine's starting bizarre. It's home when you say demons breathing on you. What are you, but they do this through astral plane. It's astral projection witchcraft. It's some sort of witchcraft that's astrally around you. Depending on, we are all astral beings. We're in the heavens, we're stars. I don't know. It's very different, and I don't know how to. I don't know if anybody else is going through this level of attack. You hear people, and I get hit with the chemicals. You hear people talking about the drones. Hear about the sounds in their head and all that stuff. But mine, I never heard anybody talking about it being. I get the gang stalking. I get that. I never heard about anybody talking about this level of the attack where witchcraft, like a virtual prison, if you can imagine. It's something virtually happening to you where you're caged in. This feels very real. I don't know if anybody else has this feeling, but it's like something virtual, a virtual prison, and you're being bombarded with all of these things, and you don't know how to truly escape it. And we know that it's all mind induced, but like I said, it feels very real. But it's intended for you to have a breakdown, intended for you to go crazy, and go and tell people that demons are following. All of this stuff. But we know that it's real. We know that it feels very real, but we know that it's really not real. But you can make anything real by believing it. So how do I deal with it? How do I deal with this? Because this is exactly what Mary Magdalene went through. I heard Holy T. She was one of the people that left a lot of comments on some of the previous videos that I did. Mention about being. She mentioned something about being raped. That has happened also. I know that that's happening now. I know. In retrospect, I didn't because I can't feel anything. I mean, I'm so messed up to the point where I can't feel anything. I can't feel anything like any type of sexual. I think it's all shut down. I think you get at some point of all these chemicals coming against you, you get some sort of imbalance where your chemicals and the things in your body, serotonin, dopamine, all that, those chemical receptors become somewhat deactivated or shut down. The pituitary gland is affected by it. Kidneys are affected by it, I believe it can be fixed. But this is something that requires constant diligence and prayer and meditation, because the body is healing itself. The body does heal itself, but you're constantly engaging these weapons that are coming against you, and you don't know how to really deal with it other than trying to flush out your skin. My skin breaks out, rashes everywhere through all of the chemicals that come against me. Face breaks out. Back is, I don't know, I can't even explain the back. It's horrific. I mean, you get all of these things, and people think that I'm you're so pleasant, and you're so, no. I have a lot of times, especially lately, where I am like going off, like inwardly. It's like, I get to that dark place because it really is something that strives to tear you apart, to create something to come out of you, that other person. But I'm starting to understand every day, but still, when you're engaging it at that time, when you feel like something is right in your face, breathing all over you, and all of these things, and you're being raped astrally, and but you can't feel it, but you know that, you know what I mean? Like, but you can't really, you can't really feel it, but but you hear like all these rape cases coming out, all these people. It's happening on some spiritual plane. It's happening on some spiritual level. But you can't feel anything, like you don't know. And and this is why I think Yeshua said, stay awake. This is why he said, be sober. Like when you said, let's watch, because something happens at night. And these are some of the things that have happened to me. You hear people, the Holy T was talking about this, talking about these women that's being raped or whatever. And that's what it is. Also, you hear about my experience, but I didn't realize it was happening at that time until just recently. And I'm like, wait a minute, how's she know? So it's like she like I don't know. I think some people can see things that maybe others can't see, and that's how I feel sometimes. Like there's some people that are spiritually inclined, but I think they really attack a person who's calling. I don't know. I think that this is the level of attacks that we receive. It's intended to demonize you, to make you go insane, to make you lose your life or whatever. And it's unexplained. We don't know. I don't know how to articulate mine to make it sound. I don't care how. I don't care what they believe. At this point, I just speak. This is my experience. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. You can't change the outcome. I'm not trying to share my experience to get any sort of sympathy or to get any sort of oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a solutions oriented person. I'm somebody that is solution oriented, meaning how do we get through this? How do we deal with this? So you want to know how I deal with this? This is how I deal with this. I usually do some form of exercising, sometimes meditation, sometimes cooking. Like, since I'm so isolated, I literally have to act like I'm entertaining the audience, and really, in reality, we really are, because we're being watched, so astrally. So you just make the best out of it. You have fun with yourself. So when I'm cooking dinner, if I'm cooking a big dinner, I may go and act like I'm Gieda on the Food Network, or somebody, speaking through the ingredients that I'm making, and gathering up my ingredients, and entertaining and dancing and singing and doing all these things, because I have fun. Sometimes I have fun with it. Sometimes I can tell when they're triggering me or whatever, and I just start just going. You can feel the mind control, and you just start playing with it. You start dancing and singing, or sometimes you be angry, and there's times I'm really angry, and I write on paper. I write it, and you can feel the anger come out, and it's something that, this ministry is for God. This ministry belongs to God, but there is a part of me, okay, and this is what comes where you want to know yourself. There's a part of me that's outraged. It's outraged at the form. It's outraged at this program that is meant to tear a person down. It's outraged with that type of program that is so harsh and so detrimental to a person's mind, to a person's soul, that I absolutely hate. And that hate comes out. It comes out, and I get angry at the system. I get angry that they would do this and tear down a person to this level. And for what? And what is it that you want? See, we never know. What is it that you want from it? What are you looking to get? What is the goal of this program? What is the goal of this program? Because all I can see is the goal as being as suicide, or to make you go insane or something like that. That's the only thing I can see. So if there's anything other than that, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And that's really the point of it. But do I get angry? Yeah, but that's not for you to see on this channel. There's certain things that that I keep to myself, because I'm a type of person where what I believe is what I believe. I'm not trying to pull anybody into anything. I'm not trying to pull anybody down, because I do tend to go down. When I get mad, I go down, and I can feel myself, and I get angry. I get internally angry, and not angry with. I get angry with the people that's behind it. The people that basically orchestrated something so demonic to do this to people, to do this to a people, and that's what I get really angry about. And being able and feeling like I'm losing control. I get frustrated because I feels like my hands are tied. It feels like I'm fighting something that's invisible, which it is. It's invisible. Can't see it. And then I get into that rage. Like I'm tearing this plate. I'm gonna tear it down. And like that rage. That but I'm gonna overcome. I'm still focused in my whole mindset that I am coming out of this, and I will come out of this. I'm already out of this. But dealing with that situation at the time when it happens, because it's all day for me. I'm telling you, this is all day for me. This can be all day for me. This can be an ongoing thing. I have to leave the house sometimes to go for a walk and things like that. But this is like constant. And even when I'm not doing videos, even when I'm not even reading the Bible or anything, this is all day. And so you get really frustrated with that because you don't know what it is they're trying to accomplish. You don't know what it is. And this is, it's like, you know, when will this end? Because this seems like this continues to happen. One day I was having a bad fit where I actually saw a video. I can't remember the name of it, but you should see it. But they talked about, remember I talked about Yeshua being a targeted individual. I talked about that in one of my other videos. But there's a video where some guy made, he talked about all of the saints in the Bible were targeted. And when you see his video, you was like, wow. He talked about the women who were targeted, Mary Magdalene being one of them, and me and Mary Magdalene, same attack, the same level of attack. But you looked at everybody's attack was kind of different. He talked about Elijah, talked about Moses. Look at all of their attacks. I can't remember the name of the video. I just watched this the other day. I was so upset and I was going off. But when I saw that video, I kind of calmed down. It kind of made me calm down. But it's just like, you listen to my poetry. Those of you who know me on this channel, you listen to my, you'll be like, who is this? You know, who is this person? Because, you know, that's why I said, when you see me, you know, this ministry is, I come on here for a whole different purpose. It's for a whole different purpose. I'm not being phony or anything. That's who I am. That's about knowing who you are. But you don't bring anybody else into that. You know, when you come here, you're looking for, you know, some encouragement and some motivation. When you come here, you're looking for motivation, encouragement, and that's what you get. You're looking for, you know, how we get through things. You're not looking for, you're not looking for that type of thing here. So, you know, I just try to be careful in my message that I come across, because nobody should follow anybody unless they feel like they share their passion, or they share their trials, unless you really understand somebody. Because some people be like, well, yeah, when I'm angry, oh yeah, she's right, you know. And I hear other people, like this young boy when I listened to poetry who was on Def Comedy Jam. I can't remember. I would have told you. I should have wrote it down. But you look at him as a thug, but he's about 20 years old or something. They introduced him on Def Poetry Jam, and when he came out, the pain that comes out of his mouth, it's pain coming out. You know, these doors are opening. You know, when God cleanses you, He cleanses everything. So there's doors in you that you don't want open, and those, you know, that's my anger door. Like what are you know, what you're doing here? What are you trying to do to me? So, but He's cleaning it out because He has to clean it out, because, you know, that's what He does. But there's things inside of you that you want the door closed to, and it's like, no, you gotta be totally clean. And but this young boy, he came out and you can feel the pain coming out of his mouth. And I'm like, I can't get mad at him because I understand. I totally get it. You know, and he seemed like he's a thug, but he has a point. You know, the struggle of black males in the ghetto, and being incarcerated for things they didn't do, and being put in jail, and the division that they set apart, they set upon us. You know, the black male being in jail and their mothers out to struggle and caring for their kids by themselves, and don't have food to eat and things like that. You think of all the black women who had to raise these kids by themselves, on the dependence of the system to give them government assistance of some sort. So you just think about all of these things, and then being in this program, and it's very debilitating. You know, it's very treacherous. It's like, you know, how could you not have compassion for these? You know, it's like, how can you not, at some point you just like, well, dang, we got to stop doing this. This ain't right. It's like somebody got to say, look, we got to try another way. This ain't right. You know, and I'm a nurse, and I look at, they have like a lot of different research studies. There's people that participate in these studies and get paid for them, you know, but it seems like we've been placed in these as like guinea pigs or something to watch and see how they behave to all of these different stimulants and all of these different these things that we expose them to. That's saying it ain't right. And that's all I'm saying. You know, people just want to live their life. People just want to live. People just want to live their life. And I think life is a beautiful gift. It's a gift, and we're supposed to live it to our full capacity. So I'm one of those people that is very against this program, and I feel like it is a program. It is a program, and because they are looking for a control group, a group to see if they are able to make an impact of some sort, or if this group can actually be a control group. They're doing some sort of research. Okay, what they're looking for, I have no idea. If they can break them down, if they can, I don't know. I don't know what they're looking for. But they're definitely looking for people who are not, I think, people who are uncontrollable. Not because they want to be, but it's because they can't help it. It's in them. You know, some people can't be controlled. And when I say by control, meaning like little silly things. They silly to me. If you ask me, it's silly stuff. But they have some sort of willpower. I think these people have some sort of willpower. And you know, they see things that other people can't see, or they can look at a question differently than somebody else can look and give you another answer that another person didn't even think about. These people are very, I think they're intelligent in a sense, in some level of intelligence with them. It may not just be in, you know, some sort of knowledge that lies within them that they're able to see through. And other people, you know, they may answer a question differently, more, give a more advanced or detailed explanation behind it. You know, when you explain something, whatever, they may see things differently. So these people are talented in their own right. These people can't be, they can't be controlled to a certain extent in which they're trying to control them. I don't know what, I don't know. You know, these people follow the rules of some sort of, you know, I follow the rules. I stop at the stop sign. You know, I stop at the stop sign. I stop at the red light. You know, I do what my employer asks me to do. But I think it's like the smaller details, or the level of insight that we have. The level of insight we have, they can't they can't understand it, I guess. They can't understand it. And that's what made us say, or they see the potential. Some people can see a potential in you. You know, some people can see something in you that you can't see, that you didn't know that you possess. And they want that. They want that gift. It's like these people are hacking into your mind. When I told you they knew my thoughts, they knew my thoughts. They knew my thoughts. They know your ideas. They know these things. And they use it. Now, there's a lady, I was watching Ayala. I don't know if you watched Ayala. I don't know if I've seen her name correct. Vanzan. Her name was Debbie Thomas. I watched it yesterday. She was a targeted individual. I think she was a black first ice skater. But when I look at her, I see me. I looked at her, and her whole life was, I don't know if she knew she was a targeted individual. To me, she's a targeted individual. But as a black lady, and you can look at her, you can look at her humbleness. You can just look at her and say, this lady's a good lady. You know, I'm upset that this happens to her, but she's a good lady. You can look at her. You just get a sense that she's a nice lady. And this happens to a lot of nice people. You know, nice people, rich people, poor people. This is happening to everybody. So we can't even say that this is specific to Christians or specific to blacks. It's happening across the board to every level of life. Okay, so we can't like say that they're discriminating, because they're definitely not discriminating. It's definitely open season to anyone who does not meet their criteria, who are placed into a certain bracket or some level of criteria that they determined that was that's specific to this program. And like I said, there's all different levels of this targeting that people are experiencing. So we have to just be mindful that we have to find some sort of thing that allows us to deal with it. Okay, to deal with it right now, because right now the only thing we can do is because do you know how to fight the whole thing? I don't have the answer to that, right? So the only thing that we do right now is try to find ways to increase our quality of life. So we find things that we enjoy, things that we are able to control. I can't control the chemtrails. I can't control, you know, these things. I don't know how they're doing it. Eventually, I believe that we will, because I believe that eventually this is going to shut down. I believe that this is going to be something that's going to come to an end. I believe that this is something that is on its last leg. I believe that this is something that's going to die forever. This program is going to be put to death eventually. I strongly believe that. I strongly believe that people are in place for this very thing. How that's going to look, I have no idea. How long it's going to take, I have no idea. But I believe that this program is going to be a program that's going to cease in its entirety. I believe that's what some of us are here for. I believe that right now we're in a place where we can't take flight, we can't escape. We're here for this very purpose, and this is something that you just look at the things that's happening in the world, and you just have to realize something. Don't ever judge a book by a cover. Whenever you see me on here and you see me smiling and laughing, it's not like this all day. You know, it's not like this all day. I can't lie to you. But at the same time, I'm not going to come in here and act a fool so they can, you know, you got to be very smart with this thing, you know, so they can pick one of your videos and see, look at this fool on here acting, you know, and creating hate and making hate groups and all of these things because, you know, that's what they pull at. They make you like a vigilante. Like she's somebody that drives people to, you know, to get together and conspire and all this stuff, and they put you on some sort of list or whatever. So I'm not coming here to give that message because that's not what I'm here to do. So I'm here to basically encourage, to edify, to strengthen, and to give you some recommendable people who've been through this. And you know they overcome. Some people have overcome, and you will too. You know, Martin Luther King was a targeted. You know, look at all these political figures. They were targeted. It's just that we live in a day and time now where there's a lot of technology. Technology is very sophisticated, and it has basically closed us in. Back then, they didn't have all this level of technology. It was very different, and they redefined the scope of this technology. You can tell because now they come after everything that gives you life. They attack your life force. They're trying to take your life force out of you. I mean, anything that makes you happy, they're coming after, and that's what this is designed to do. But what do I have to lose? Why are you saying so much? Why are you so revealing? Because I want my life. I just want my life. I want my life. I'm one of those people that enjoy life. I enjoy working. I'm an able body. I'm an able body. I'm very intelligent. I'm very hardworking. I'm very assertive and driven. And I just feel like I'm wasting time. This is a waste of time for me to sit here and not have anything to do when I am fully willing and capable to do it. When there's powers that prevent you from doing that because they're the one with the problem, not me. I don't have the problem. You know, I'm not the problem. So there's other people that are interfering with my livelihood, and I have a problem with that. You know, because it's like if you want to take my life away, in essence, you're making me dead when I'm not dead, and you know that becomes a problem because I don't have anything but life. You know, this is what I'm supposed to. This is something that I'm supposed to fight for in my life. I'm supposed to live. So I was put here to live, and that's all I know how to do right now is to live and make a contribution that is impactful to those who want to be a part of that. I'm in a place of service. I'm like humbled. I'm one of those people that want to provide provide some sort of servitude for people because I believe that I have that gift to be able to touch people's lives and impact them and so forth. So that's what I strive to do. That's what I love to do. So this is something that was that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to share my experiences. I can go into details, all these different details in terms of how this. I don't know what I would like to hear some of the things that you do to get through this. You know, like I said, I exercise. I've got really in shape in this whole thing. I exercise. I maybe cook, dance, sing. You know, anything I can do to read books. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of learning. Right now I'm really just trying to learn new things, and do things, creative things to just keep your mind functioning, okay? Always proclaim it every day, you know, that you proclaim a sound mind because this attack comes against your mind. It comes against the strength of your body, the computer of your body. Your mind is your computer. You know, the computer breaks down. You know, I work as a nurse, like I said, I work in intensive care. The mind goes, everything goes. Everything shuts down. The mind is the mechanism, the most essential part of the body, the mind and the heart, which controls everything, the limbs, everything. So whenever your mind is under attack, you have to really anoint your head. You have to really bless your head because it's like the very essential part that causes everything to function in your body, your organs, everything. So you have to really bless your head and really proclaim a sound mind, really proclaim power over your will because, like I said, that's how they get in, trying to make you do their will. Because you're in an uncontrollable state. You don't mean to, okay? So we don't mean to be, but it's just the God that's in you that's ordered your steps. His, I told you his will goes over everybody's. So he's ordered your steps. So they really need to be mad at, they're really mad at the wrong person. They really need to be mad at God because he's the one that orders your steps. So that's just one of the things that you have to be mindful of. You're doing his will regardless. And that's what they need to understand that you're doing God's will. And, we don't have no control over it. We don't even have any control over it. So it doesn't even matter. Even when you're targeted, even if you decided that you go with them, they're still going to target you because why? Because you do the will of God. You're going to do the will of God. It's in you. You have to. You're going to do it. You're going to, we talked about that on one of the last video I just made. You have to do it. You're going to do his will. So that's just what it is. So only thing you can do right now is to wait for that time where this comes to an end, because it is. It's going to fall. The program's going to fall. It's been going on for a very long time. And this is the time where, different ideals and different things, different ways of treating people come to play. Some people learn, and I'm not saying, some people, I believe some people learn through these experiences. This experience gives you strength. It gives you willpower. It gives you understanding. It shows you how to engage people. It shows you how to engage people. It shows you how to respond, how to keep your temper under control. If this has taught me anything, it's how to keep my temper under control so I have control over it to some extent. When I'm going off and by myself, I can care less. I'll be talking all kinds of nonsense. When I'm by myself, and it's like, if I was outside looking in, you'd be cracking up. Like some people I can tell, I watch their channel, I can tell that they're under mind control, and I just laugh because they look just like me. And I'm like laughing to myself, like, oh, she looks just like me, So you can see it, the mind control. We can't help it. We have been marked from birth, and we're under this mind control. So all of us sometimes look like suspects because we're all under the same type of control. So it's just one of those things where you start to realize that when you know yourself more, you know that you are part of some sort of agenda. I don't know. But, you still learn as you go on and can continue to get other people's experiences and understand their levels of attack. But the attack is always on the head. But if you can remember that what God showed me, he's the healer. He's healed me through, I should be dead. I shouldn't even be here right now. I should have been dead a long time ago. I should have given up a long time ago. I've been in this for a long time, and I just keep going. It's just that willpower I have. Like, I can't. I got to see this through. Like there's a bigger thing that's here, and I don't know what it is yet, but I just feel like there is. And you just keep striving for that, and keep reminding yourself, not these influences that are coming in the world are not going to influence me to the point where they take away my life, or they think that they have some control over my life, because all I'm trying to do is live. And so what I've done is I also wanted to share with you, I keep journals. YouTube, I look at it as a live journal, okay, a recording audio live journal. My personal thoughts, very divine and very spiritual, uplifting, sometimes sad, sometimes happy, sometimes angry. They're all on paper. Some of them have poetry. I've got a whole book of poetry, trying to get it published. I got a whole book of poetry. I'm talking about poetry that was led by a spirit. I'm talking about like some serious, it's really good. It's really good poetry. So I have to get it published. I have to get some money to get it published. By the way, please support this ministry. The Day of the Lord Ministry, P.O. Box 777, Conyers, Georgia, 30013. Please send your letters in. Any financial contribution will be greatly appreciated. Please continue to pray for this ministry, for myself, and I will continue to pray for you all. And I thank you so much for listening today. And please feel free to leave your comments on here. Some of the questions I had is, what I'm really ignorant about? I'm really ignorant about in terms of the type of devices that are utilized in targeting. I guess I'm not really familiar with some of the, I guess the testing devices, the testing tools, or whatever to determine the levels of chemicals, the smart readers. I know that they use drones, the chemicals, but Any other things that are utilized? I'm really ignorant to that part. Like I said, for mine is astral projection, some sort of astral technology, some sort of as if it's another dimension. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's crazy. Definitely, I would love to hear somebody else's part. If you understand exactly what I'm talking about, I would love to hear it. Love to hear what your experience has been. But that is pretty much it in a nutshell. So please continue to listen to any of the other videos that I've done. I've done some recent ones in the last week, so please look at those if you haven't. And please leave your questions in anything else you want to leave. I appreciate it. So thank you so much. Shalom, everyone. Take care.